The most serious thing which is mentioned in this document is child trafficking. Why would those serious people like politicians, right, members of Europarliament, why they would protect some blogger? There is one shocking story which I am even now still trying to process what I heard and what I felt that moment. After we filmed this interview, not one of us spoke until the evening. Not one.
An American blogger served interests of the Russian FSB by providing a platform to an alleged pedophile. He interviewed a blogger, Jakub Jahl, who, according to the testimonies of people in Tanzania, was doing not the missionary and not the volunteer work as he claimed. He was abusing children, using drugs, injecting them with unknown substances. And here's what the children themselves had to say, so as witnesses and other victims.
Who did he sleep with?
With the kids.
With kids?
One day I felt terrible. It's when I saw him smoking weed. Near him, there were syringes. I don't know what those syringes were for.
Yes, he was only picking boys.
And what did he do with them there?
He was with them. He took a bag and they went together. He took them inside.
And when they came out, how did they look? Were they scared, happy, or were they dazed?
Usually, they weren't happy. The kids were quiet, didn't say much.
So, this is him?
Unamjua? Ni nani?
That's Jakub.
That's Jakub? What did he do to you?
Alifanya nini?
He raped my friend. I pooped in his mouth. He raped my friend.
He said, "I want to sleep with you." I said, "No, I'm still too young. I am not yet of an age to sleep with a man." When he raped me, he was holding a knife. At first he wasn't, but then he took it out. He grabbed me and cut me here. Another knife mark here. And my breasts.
He cut your breasts?
Yes, I had to run and my leg was seriously injured. The cut was so deep, the flesh inside came out.
The voices of the African children turned out to be too inconvenient and were silenced by those who are trying to defend Jakub Jahl. Who and why is doing it, and what is the original story? Today, we're going to discuss it with an author of the documentary film, who went to Tanzania herself and spoke to the children, recorded their testimonies, and provided the platform for the entire world to see what Jakub Jahl did in Africa. Marketa, thank you for being with us today. We have Stephen with us as well, and we would like to talk to you about the documentary, about the story of your trip to Africa and the documentary that you filmed based on testimonies of the children who you spoke to.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm very glad for a possibility to be there and speak up.
One of the questions I wanted to throw at you, Marketa, was, could you give us a little bit of the before story? How exactly did you come to the choice where you're like, no, I'm going to pack my bags. I'm going to save some money. I'm going to pack my bags. I'm going to get on a plane and I'm going to really see what's going on there. What were the series of events that led up to that decision?
Yeah, sure. Well, actually, I learned about Jakub Jahl because he contacted me himself personally through social media. And before that, I didn't even know that he existed. And when he contacted me, I, of course, wanted to find out who it was. And I found out that he's making video about allatra. But he was not really known blogger. he has like free views on his videos, so I didn't pay attention to him. But after some time, he tried to get our attention again. He contacted me again. He contacted my family as well. So, I was curious who it is. So I started to look more closely at who he was. I found out many articles about him, like since 2011, 2013, till today. And some of those articles were about his activities in Africa. And there were mentioned very serious things such as misuse of money, fraud, drug use, and even possible sexual harassment and abuse. And later on, we found a video from Tatiana Finikova. She is witnesses from, she's from Slovakia. She was personally with Jakub Jahl in Africa, and she made a video about her experience with Jakub Jahl. And I was truly shocked when I saw this video, because she described that Jakub behaved very badly to children, that he beat them up. Even she described that he catch him in shower, how he touches little boys in the private zones. And there was a moment which shocked me even more. Tatiana described that Jakub wanted to sell her for sex for one night to get money. And during that, he took her phone, so she was not able to call her mother for help. And then he manipulated her mother to get money. And he was like, "You will send me money, or I will sell your daughter for one night."
And Jakub Jahl took my mobile phone. Jakub Jahl kept insisting that this wasn't true. Can you see this? I'm in my chat. The blue voice messages are my voice messages. And here you go.
I don't even know what else you want me to keep saying. That's just how it is here, okay? Some guy showed up, a warlord, with machine guns, and another guy. Basically, either we hand over Tanya or give them money. Those are the only options. I'm not kidding. That's just the way it is. We cannot do anything about it. We don't have that money. Decide however you want, whether it's moral or immoral.
I will never do that.
Well, Tanya says she won't do it, so that pretty much ends the discussion unless you force her.
And we contacted Tatiana personally and make a video with her. So she told us even more details about Africa. I am a journalist. I knew that those informations are so serious that I just can't ignore it. And of course, I have kind of duty, like a journalist, even moral duty, just as a person, to find out more information and find out if it is really true. Who can tell you the truth better than those person who experienced it themselves? Like without anyone in between. So that's the moment when we decided to go to Africa to ask them personally. And we made it. And there was also important moment when we get the information that Jakub Jahl studies education. So in future, he will spend times with kids. And when I get those information from Tatiana and from those articles, there were like 5 articles which mentioned experience from people with Jakub Jahl in Africa. So I just couldn't ignore it, because it's question of safety of our children. And we know that if it's really true, we need to do something to stop it and protect other children.
Did you have a plan? Like, or you just boots on the ground and you're like, okay, here we go? Like, how did all that work out?
I would say I had more goal than plan.
Sure,
You know,
sure.
I decided that I want to get as much information as I can, but I absolutely didn't know how to do that. I had a few contacts from Tatiana. So those were people who I contacted like first. But first place where I go, it was police station and immigration office, because from Tatiana I knew that police in Tanzania in City Moshi, they already investigated him, and actually that is why he ran away from Africa.
Sure.
So I first of all I went to police station to ask them about the files, if I can see those files about Jakub Jahl. Unfortunately, I didn't get that because I didn't have any permission, because I was there on my own. Yeah. But I get information. Those policemen told me that it is true. There is some file about Jakub Jahl, and if we will have the permission, they will show us. And they gave me contact to social worker who started to investigate Jakub Jahl at the time. It was 2022. And he investigates him. The social worker investigates Jakub Jahl because Jakub Jahl wanted to open orphanage in Moshi in Tanzania. And he needed to get permission of the government and social worker. And he refused to give him the permission because he found out about what Jakub Jahl did in Africa, and he gave us a document where is describing what Jakub Jahl did in Africa. And the most serious thing which is mentioned in this document is child trafficking. So it was like first information which I get on third day in Africa. And just after that, I went to other people, to other contacts. I had like 3 contacts, so we filmed 3 interviews. And after that, the process was like out of our control. It was very interesting because there were a lot of people who were full of the horrible experience and they wanted to share it. I feel like they were glad that they can share it with someone, that someone takes care about them, what they experience, what they feel, and they really wanted to share everything. So they gave us contacts to other witnesses and others. So like every morning we wake up, go with our cameras to the city. And I never known who will we meet and who will we film with. So the people just send us to others and to others.
Sure.
Of course, there were those who refused to speak to us because the experience was so hurtful for them that they wanted to forget. For example, there were mother of a little girl who the girl was in orphanage where Jakub Jahl stayed, and due to Tatiana's testimony, Jakub Jahl used to beat very hardly the little girl, and we wanted to meet her mother, but she refused. She said that it is so horrible experience that she doesn't want to speak with anyone who even know Jakub Jahl's name. So there were also people who decided not to speak with us.
Yeah, they don't want to
because it was
relive
so
that
horrible.
trauma.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a shame. And I guess just when you did find those people that were willing to speak, did they like point to other people that knew him that might be willing to speak, and it was just kind of like a domino effect? How'd that work out?
Absolutely, absolutely. As you said, it was like that. And even because we were 2 weeks in Africa, the information spread so quickly among locals. So during the second week, we just walk on the street, and people just showed it like, "Oh, you are those who knows Jakub Jahl," and they came to us by their own decision and started to share their story. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening? So yeah, that was kind of domino effect.
Marketa, so you land in Tanzania, you start talking to some people, and as we know, the documentary does explain some pretty intense stories. Could you maybe give us a little rundown of some of the more shocking information that stayed in your memory the most?
Well, we went to places where Jakub Jahl used to go as well. And we walked down the street with photo of Jakub Jahl in our hands, so everyone could see it. And, after a short time, a lot of children started to run around us, and we just hear like, Jacobo, Mbuyu. Mbuyu is his nickname. African people called him Mbuyu. So we heard like, Jacobo, Mbuyu. And we were like, what? So we followed those kids who shouted his name, and we asked them, do you know this man with the photo in our hand? And they were like, yes, we know him. So we started to film, and it was the very first interview with Kate. And I realized during this interview that all those mentions in those articles I read before were true, because there was a little boy who described, for example, how Jacobo used to touch them. He was like, he touched us like this. And he gave us some injections, and he showed it on his body. And I was like, what injections? I have no clue what he is talking about, this boy. But later on, other kids and other witnesses told us that he used syringes to get drugs for himself. And, now I can just think about what was in those injections he gave to those boys. Was it drug as well to make them, I don't know, dizzy, tired, or confused, or it was anything else? We just don't know. But those people and even those boys described that Jakub Jahl has some favorite boys. It was like 5 boys who were his favorite. And he used to, due to testimony of those kids and people from this orphanage like Teresa, they described that he used to take those boys, and he took them to some separated room, and he used to lock the room from inside, and he was there alone with those boys, and no one knows what was happening inside. But other kids who saw this happening described that around was those injections. And, I asked those kids how those boys, when they went out from the room, how they behave, how they felt. And those kids described like, I don't know, they were confused. They didn't speak much. So like no one knows what happened inside. But I have a question. Why would adult men would log him and some boys inside of some room and make it and keep it in secret, and no one was allowed to go in. So it was the first story which really scared me because I watched those kids. And later I understand that they were like 5 boys, right? Who used to go to room. I found only 2 of them, and 3 others, they just disappeared. And no one knows today where they are and what happened to them. And those boys who I talked to, they have a very, very bad psychologic and health condition.
I've been working with kids for a really long time, and I think this is a universal language. Everyone knows, especially as a man, you do not put yourself in a room alone with doors locked with children. Like that is, it doesn't matter what country you're from. Any sane person understands, and it doesn't matter if you're there to help them. It doesn't matter like what country you're in. Every person knows, especially as a man, you do not lock yourself in a room with children. And I think every person, regardless of country, knows you don't inject children with anything because you're not a doctor. So it's really shocking to me that there could be any justification for this behavior in any way, and to see the before and after. But that certainly is, it's crazy. I'm sorry that you had to witness and hear about these things. Can we maybe get into maybe one more other case that you might like to share with us before we go into a little bit about the post life of the making of the documentary?
There is one shocking story, which I'm even now still trying to process what I heard and what I felt that moment. But if you don't mind, I will say it in Czech language, which is my native, because it's kind of difficult for me to describe it in in English language.
Sure.
Thank you. It's the story of Rosie and the girl we found out about from Modest, who during an interview said the sentence, "I saw Jakub Jahl raping a girl." And even just that sentence scared me a lot, so I asked if it would be possible in any way to meet this girl. And Modest answered yes. Then we didn't hear from him for a few days. And there came a moment when we were sitting in a restaurant eating pizza. It was actually a moment of rest. We were having lunch, and suddenly Modest appeared, and behind him walked a girl. Modest explained that this was the girl whom he had witnessed being raped by Jakub Jahl. So I described to her who we were, why we were there, what we wanted to do, what we were actually doing, what our goal was, because the girl was very stressed out after all. Both she and Modest were quite stressed out. Well, and we started filming, and actually I simply asked Rosie to describe her experience. What she began describing was that she had met Jakub Jahl when she was 13 years old. Back then, she was still likely living with her mother. Jakub Jahl came to them and said he would give Rosie a better life, that he would take her to school. In Africa, going to school is every child's dream, because even state school costs money and not everyone can afford it. So she agreed, and under the pretext of having a better life, she went with Jakub Jahl. What she described further in that interview, though, was specifically that situation which Modest also witnessed. It was night. She was wearing only a nightgown, She was sleeping, and according to her words, Jakub Jahl came into the room, locked that room, and said that he wants to have sex. She tried to explain to him that she was only 13 years old, that she was too young for that. At that moment, he started taking off his clothes and started lying down next to her. She tried to resist him, but he pulled a machete out of his back pocket. And with that machete, he cut her. She actually described a situation where he tried to hold her on his lap. And she was trying to escape. And as she was struggling with him, he cut her. She showed us scars. She showed us a scar right in this spot. She showed us scars on her leg and described how she was trying to escape. And that situation, in my opinion, that situation was likely saved by Modest, because he heard Rosie's screams as she was screaming while trying to defend herself, and Modest went to open the door. And actually, after Rosie opened the door, she ran out and escaped. When she was describing this, she was speaking Swahili for a long time, and I didn't understand what she was talking about. But I felt what she was going through. And there was precisely a moment when she was describing how he tried to rape her, how he was holding her by force, and at the same time he was cutting her with a machete and threatening to kill her. And threatening to kill her. At that moment I didn't know what Rosie was saying, but I felt it, and at that moment it terrified me so much. And when Modest later translated that whole part, and I found out what she had really said, what that situation was like, then I felt as if my mind had just exploded. You know that feeling when you experience a shock? And that shock completely consumes you, so your mind goes blank, so that you feel it even physically. That is exactly how I felt, and I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say at all. There was one more moment. Actually, the whole interview, I don't know how long it might have taken, maybe even up to some 40 minutes. And you know, in that process, I was experiencing that shock, but we were there as journalists. And at the same time, I understood that it is necessary to help this girl, and I didn't know how, and I was processing that shock. So when we finished filming, we wanted to at least thank her somehow for her courage, for describing that situation, for saying it out loud, because it takes tremendous courage to describe something so terrible in such detail. So we ordered her a pizza, and that was the second wave of shock, because when they brought her the pizza, they brought the pizza and cutlery, and I saw a picture of this situation where she doesn't know how to eat that pizza, where she doesn't know how to pick up the cutlery. And she actually picked up the pizza like from above. She started grabbing it with her hands like that. I was looking at her, and at that moment it hit me. Oh my God. She said that after she ran away from Jahl, covered in blood, she ended up on the street, and ever since then she's been living on the street. That girl experienced such a nightmare at 13 years old. She was left completely alone. She was left completely alone. Without any help. She was left completely alone without any help on the street after experiencing this, after experiencing all this. And it's a silly pizza. It seems like a trivial thing, but at that moment I realized, is this the first pizza in her life? She doesn't even know how to eat it. And can you imagine that at 13, at such a sensitive age, you experience something terrible, and then you have no one and nothing to help you, to protect you, to give you a sense of home, and you are left with yourself alone without any help on the street. Because what also happened there was that shortly after Jahl took her in, her mother died, so she didn't return there anymore. Furthermore, in Africa, if such a thing happens to you, that you are raped and you are a woman, then according to the African mindset, you are at fault. She didn't even try to go back anywhere anymore because she was deeply ashamed of what had happened and she knew that nobody would help her. According to the latest reports, we know that Rosie is psychologically broken. And well, is that any surprise? After all, Jakub Jahl broke her psychologically. He ruined her mental state and she wasn't given a chance. She received no psychological help. She wasn't given a chance to get back to a normal life. You know, and at this moment, after we filmed this interview, not one of us spoke until the evening. Not one. And we walked around the city and stayed silent because both of us, especially in our own heads, were processing what we had heard. And I kept asking myself, how is something like this even possible? How much must someone lose their humanity? To what level can someone lose their humanity to do something like that? That's the story.
Yeah, you almost have to take a moment to try and wrap your head around it.
There is even more, because after us, one more journalist was in Africa, and she also made a film. And from her film, because she found witnesses that we couldn't found, because Rosie said that when she ran away, she went to her neighbor, woman neighbor, and asked her to go inside. And the journalist made interview with that neighbor and with Rosie again. We get the information that there were also drugs involved. Rosie in the second film described that actually Jakub Jahl raped her more times. And first time she like Rosie, she drank some soda or water, and after that she felt dizzy and she couldn't find him, so he did what he wanted. And she understand that, well, after drinking this water, I felt off, so she decided not to drink anymore. And that's probably what I think. That's probably why she were able to run away the next night.
So you went to Africa, you had little knowledge about what was happening there. You knew that there were allegations of sexual harassment and sexual violence that Jakub allegedly was doing there. And then you found the victims. You found the actual victims who confirmed it and even described horrifying things which no sane person could even, imagine that anything like that could happen. That person who went there to help children, who was collecting money to help children, was actually doing horrifying acts of violence, death threats, raping children, injecting drugs into little kids. What were your thoughts then when you had it on camera and you was doing this film? What did you expect the reaction to be?
We wanted to stop it and protect children, of course. So that's why we filed a report on police in Czech Republic. And we expected that the investigation will start in Czech Republic. But nothing happened there. And not only that no investigation started, but also a lot of journalists started to protect Jakub Jahl and publish articles where they are saying that it's all only smear campaign against Jahl. Because I am member of allatra, or we are member of allatra, and it's like because Jahl made a video about us before, which is completely nonsense because Jahl's video has like only few views, like 3 views on video, so actually no one pay attention to him. But yeah, I was very, very disappointed that nothing happened and only some articles was published, and even politicians and minister, like last minister of Czech Republic, started to protect it. Started to protect Jakub Jahl as well, which shocked me. You know what is interesting? A lot of people in Africa described that Jakub Jahl used to boast that he has serious connections, that he has serious people behind who has a lot of power, that those people can control the world. And even those people can kill anyone, and they already killed someone, but nothing happened, and so he can kill anyone as well, and nothing will happen to him after. And actually, when I heard it, I was like, well, some crazy man tells crazy stories, like he made it up. So I didn't pay attention to it. But later, when in Czech Republic, like politicians, even members of European Parliament, prosecutors, last minister of the interior, those are people who are on Jahl's side, and they started to protect him, and a lot of journalists as well. And now I'm asking, why would those serious people, like politicians, right, members of Euro Parliament, why they would protect some blogger that no one knows him, right? Because he has only few views. Why they would protect him so hard? And we can say that there is a lot of money going into those articles, and other bloggers who also protects Jahl, right? So why is that so? And why no one from those people cares about kids? You know, everyone only speak about that some 2 allatra members go against Jahl, that it is a smear campaign, and no one can help Jakub Jahl, like he's a poor little guy who is attacked by allatra. and no one speaks about those kids. No one speaks about more than 30 witnesses from Tanzania who spoke up their own experience about him. No one asked about those witnesses from Czech and Slovakia. No one asked them. No one called them. I expected that, okay, there are more journalists who wanted to write article about Tanzania, right? And about our film. I would expected that those journalists will call like minimum to Czech and Slovak witnesses. There are like 4 people from Czech and Slovak. No one called them. No one cared about what happened. No one cared about kids repeating and parroting the same thing. Like Jakub Jahl is poor little guy, and allatra is some horrible monster.
I think what a lot of people don't realize is by attacking allatra, they are directly trying to silence voices of children. Meanwhile, you have so much testimony from young children. You would think that according to the law in certain countries and international law, that a child's testimony would hold some valuable weight. Would the same thing happen if a light-skinned Czech citizen who was of similar age, would that happen? Would it happen in the same way? Or is it because these people are poor, because they have dark skin, because they're in some other corner of the world? Does that mean that there's no reason to look into this? It raises a lot of questions. And I think you brought up a good point in terms of there has to be some incentive for all of these people in these places of government who are supposed to serve. And as you mentioned earlier, he plans on going into school districts. This is someone who walks around on the street around other children, and to back him, to support him, and to pretend that he's a victim. I don't really know if that paycheck is worth the repercussions when the rest of the world really finds out who this person is.
You know, in Czech Republic, it's quite serious situations because, as I mentioned, a lot of serious people are protecting Jahl and attacking us, like kind of attacking us and attacking allatra. So in Czech Republic, it's kind of serious situation. But we did nothing that gave a possibility to those children and people from Africa to say their story, their real experience. And I think we were first who asked them, and we went there because we care about those children. We want them to be safe. I mean, like we as allatra and we as person, Marketa and David, right? We care about every children and we want safety for every children in the world. So of course, for Africa children as well, of course. And if someone would ask me if I do it again, of course I would do it again because it's a right thing to do. Because if there are some innocent people who are not able to protect themselves, someone has to help, someone has to speak up. And that's, I think, the only way how we can stop to do those horrible things in the future, how we can protect kids everywhere, and how we can protect people even in the future. Because, you know, when you read about maniacs, you understand that maniacs and psychopaths, they will not stop, never. They can change they can change the country, they can change the situations, but they will never stop. So it was right thing to do, and we just gave the space to those kids and to those people speak their story. And I think every normal journalist, every normal person should do it as well. And I would like to say to those people who protect Jakub Jahl, please go to Africa and speak yourself to those kids. You know, sometimes I feel like I would like to pack all my emotions, which I experienced when I spoke to those kids, and I would like to give it to them, all those emotions, because if those people feel it, they would never protect a person like Jakub Jahl. They just couldn't.
The most horrifying thing is that there are still people who are willing to defend Jakub Jahl and silence the children, simply ignore them as they do not exist. Nexpo, do you even realize who have you platformed? A man who despises the US, who vandalized the graves of American soldiers in Czech Republic, and who did unspeakable things to children in Africa. The children you decided to ignore and silence. In our next episode, we are going to uncover who stands behind Jakub Jahl and how the entire network of FSB, Russian intelligence, are using all its resources to defend a blogger from Czech Republic with a few views on YouTube.